Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Testing. 1, 2. Everybody, hello. Hello. 8 seconds in. Let's see who shows up. Let's see who shows up. I'm scanning news stories. There we go. We don't need to hear that. We don't need to hear that now, do we? Not at all. Yeah. Wow. Lots of iOS, Apple news this morning. Gabriel, ThinkPadtastic, Exemplar 1, good morning to you. How's everybody doing? Good morning, Pamela. Strawberry Shortcake, good to see you. Yeah, I'm just scanning today's tech news. And yeah. I guess we can get the Big Sur public beta. I don't know. I don't know about that, Zach. That's funny. Oh boy. For the love of tech, good morning to you. The dawn of FPT and PHT is what I needed. So what's going on with is front page tech still like locked out of their channel? Unfortunately, is that what's happening? Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen. Totally gone? Oh my God! Well, they got to be bringing it back. They've got to be bringing it back. Mr. Viper, good morning. Good morning on this fine day. Apple Insider reveals new iPhone 12 releases. It's been deleted. No. They got to bring it back. New channel called FPT 404. That would be appropriate. Yeah. Let's see. Potential buyers of new iPhone 5.4-inch iPhone 12 and 6.7-inch iPhone 12 Pro Max needing to wait longer. Apple insider John Prosser gave me the last week that the launch would be staggered. Well, I mean, at least an upside to all this is that John came back to YouTube. Right? Everything that I've heard, Outlaw, tells me that it's going to be 120 hertz. I would have thought that they would have to, because all of the new Samsung phones and everything else would be 120 hertz, but not all of the new Samsung phones are 120 hertz. So, but these are some nice renderings from Everything Apple Pro. Yeah, it looks. I like the look of it. I don't know. I mean, I could try and complain, but no, I'm not going to. FPT 404 shirts, yeah. Man, that's like one of the greatest fears of all people who do anything online, especially if it's like something that they rely on for their livelihood, is just getting somehow shafted that way. Text so honest it hurts. I might have to make that t-shirt. I think I can make t-shirts more easily now, because my my store has shifted over to Teespring. It's a lot easier for me to do it on my own. Before, it was like my MCN was handling it. So if anybody wants to make a Text so honest at HERTZ design for me, I'll put it up as a limited edition t-shirt. So Andrew in the market for an ultra slim laptop or tablet for the HVAC field, needing one that won't break with dirts and oils and drops. Well, you know, the best thing I think I can think of off the top of my head is like an iPad with one of those giant cases on it. It's early in the morning, not enough coffee. What am I'm blanking on. Zach, help me out here. What's the case that I'm thinking of? Yeah, just like there are a few different companies that make like cases that totally cover the screen, everything else like that. And for some reason, I cannot think of the name of the company that does it and has done it for years. OtterBox, yes. Thank you. Okay. The meds haven't kicked in yet today, so that's what I would think. Yeah. So if somebody out there has a bent for the graphic design and wants to make me a tech so honest it hurts design, I will put it up and we can have it as a as a special T-shirt. As I also want to make a T-shirt that says "Put it in the box," with just like a power plug. That's also what I want to do. Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, I appreciate it. As I said in the video, and it's everybody's going through all kinds of weird stuff right now, obviously, and YouTube is obviously going to be a much different place than it normally is. So it just leaves you in this place where it's like, okay, is this what I want to be doing? Am I doing the thing that will, anyway, you watch the video. I appreciate that. It was a fun video to make. And while I'm still like kind of tired of talking about smartphones, people seem to enjoy my Note 20 coverage. So I'm going to do a, don't buy watch this video before you buy the Note 20 video, in which I give people much better options than the Note 20. And then I've also got the LG Velvet here, which I think I said the other night, I haven't been able to use as much because I can't put my SIM card in it because it's Verizon only, or not Verizon only, it's AT&T only, and I have Verizon. So I need more. Yeah. This has been a weird week too. Like I've only been sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. And and I just, it takes me a while to get rolling. And yesterday I slept 4 hours. It was one of the longer nights of sleep that I got. I woke up yesterday. I did something in the morning. And then by 11 o'clock in the morning, I was up at 5:30. So by 11 o'clock, I was tired. I went back to sleep. I slept until 4 o'clock. So that's a good idea. Can you trust Samsung? I don't know. What do you guys think the answer to that would be? Matt, like I agree. I go back and forth because I think a lot of people have had a lot of good takes on this, and I do have a music focused channel that is my name. It's got, almost doesn't have yet 1,000 subscribers or anything, and I don't put too much stuff on there, but I do have that channel. So I'm thinking of, kind of, I don't know, the Painfully Honest Tech thing. A lot of people have pointed out is a brand that I've built over many years now. And so one way or the other, people know what it is. I have not watched Unbox Therapy's Note 20 series. I don't know. In terms of brightness, I don't know. I think that Well, just naturally, that has an LED screen, right? It has a LCD screen. Naturally, OLED screens aren't as bright as LED and LCD screens. So that's not entirely surprising to me. Because the Note 20 Ultra would have the OLED screen, right? So thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. This has been a good week. I felt really good this week. People have really been supportive, and it means it means a lot to me. Like, this stuff can be pretty isolating, pretty weird, pretty you can like get inside your own head pretty deeply. So I was very appreciative of everybody who threw out the support and was there with feedback and kind words. I really do appreciate it. Both devices are OLED. I don't know. I mean, those are the kinds of comparisons that I'm sure I've made them before. But on one hand, it's like, okay, so one's brighter than the other. However, most people aren't going to have both. So as long as the one that's not as bright is bright enough that it won't be a problem for the user, then I guess it's okay. But I don't know. I can't figure out what happened to Samsung. When the S10 came out last year, I went to that event. I saw the whole thing. I saw the Galaxy Fold, and all that. And I was just like, wow, Samsung is firing on all cylinders. The S10 line is great. This Fold thing looks awesome. And then ever since the Fold came out to reviewers and was broken, Samsung has like completely sucked. And I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why. Thank you for the super sticker. Across the podcast. You guys are great. Thank you very much. Nick, one thing that I've noticed about myself, and one thing that's really hard to remember when you're watching yourself in the world, I guess, it's really easy to get caught up in looking at what other channels are doing and trying to improve. Like, I spent the past 6-8 months trying to improve what I was doing, looking at other things and trying to broaden my scope and trying to improve my videos. And it seems like ultimately people respond to and seem to enjoy more me just talking about stuff openly, honestly. And it's easy to forget that, I guess is what I'm saying. It's easy to forget that when day after day you're like trying to make a better product. And I think in some ways, maybe I sort of lost the thread, but that's how things develop. That's the way it goes. Well, yeah, Matt, I agree. I was disappointed with the Note 10 last year because I thought they cut too many corners there. But that phone looks like a full-fledged flagship compared to what they did with the Note 20. So I don't understand. I don't understand. Why bother making that phone? Is it just so you can upsell the real one? Like, the Note 9 was $1,000, and that was 2 years ago, and it was a great phone. And I actually felt like at $1,000, I was getting my money's worth with the Note 9. But now, like, $1,000 for a plastic phone that's 1080p, that doesn't have what everybody insists is the most important feature this year, 120 hertz refresh rate. And I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. And it's not that I have anything against a polycarbonate back or a polycarbonate build on a phone. Those, many people have pointed out, it'd be more durable, more blah, 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 more all that kind of stuff. And in some ways, more pleasant to hold. Yes, I think all of that is true. But the problem is, I also wouldn't want to pay $1,000 for a polycarbonate phone. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You just can't have it both ways. You've either got to give the premium materials that everybody expects for that price point, or you have to lower the price. One way or the other. That's the long and short of it from me. And Retethered Tech, I think DJ Co left because somebody had to take the fall for the Galaxy Fold. I don't have any information about that, no insider, blah blah blah, anything like that. I'm just thinking that somebody with a high profile in Samsung's mobile division had to take some heat for that, and DJ Co was the top guy, and so they've swapped in this new guy. But I think it was going off the rails before. I think that what the problem they had was they wanted to get that Galaxy Fold out. They wanted it to be the first. They pushed it out too soon. It wasn't ready, and I really feel like last year they cut corners on the Note 10 and Note 10 Plus because they had to recoup money that they lost from the disaster that the Fold was. And now they have the S20 line, also a sales disaster, because who's buying a $1,400 phone in the middle of a global pandemic? I can't imagine that those phones sold very well. So I have a feeling that they're just kind of like hemorrhaging money from the mobile division, and they're trying to figure out ways to cut corners. Why not only release one Note phone if you need to cut corners, and make it the everything phone that everybody wants from the Note line? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier, Tim. I guess I know that they are in the process of trying to get Front Page Tech fixed. I had a little communication with John a couple of days ago, but maybe they had to take the whole thing down in order to reinstate it. I mean, I hope they didn't lose. They've been doing that channel for like almost 10 years. I hope they didn't lose everything and have to start over, because that would be awful. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I guess they've put up a FPT 404 channel for the moment, where John explains a little bit more about what's going on, but I haven't had a chance to see that video yet. So that's all I know about Front Page Tech. And thank you for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate it, man. The Note 10 is a test to see, or the Note 20 is a test to see how far they can push the market. They don't have to play. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like they've been pushing the market price point wise for the past couple of years. While I know that the Galaxy Fold is a specialty device, it's something brand new, and of course you have to pay for that kind of stuff. I mean, a smartphone that approaches $2,000 is something that's just really hard to swallow. So they've been pushing, whereas Apple and other companies, OnePlus with the Nord and everything else, Apple and other companies have been kind of filling out the back end. So yes, they had their $1,000 phones, but then the iPhone SE is $400. Samsung, yes, they have budget minded phones in the A series and otherwise, but they don't market those phones. They don't go out and say, check out these phones. They get behind the really expensive $1,000 phones, and it seems totally tone deaf to what is going on in the world right now and what the market can really bear. So I don't know. I don't know what their situation is, but then again, they are a company based in a different country that has a different reality vis-a-vis what's happening in the world right now. So I don't know how that is impacting or affecting the decisions that they're making. There are some truly evil people out there. Yeah. I I think that people, especially younger people who, YouTube feels really like fast and loose and memey and weird, but no matter what, even though it feels that way, like, front page tech, that's their living, that's their business, that's basically, like, you know they support themselves, their families, etc., off of doing that business. And I can't believe that there's anybody clueless enough or evil enough out there to say, like, let me steal everything that you have that helps you support yourself in the middle of a global freaking pandemic. I don't know. 70s Mebin, thank you for the information. I'm sure I'll put it up here on screen so everyone can be alerted. The iPhone SE, man, Carl, the iPhone SE is a very nice phone. Jealous of the glasses. These were okay. So I got it. We have 3 dogs. One is relatively young, and when he was really a puppy, he chewed up 2 pairs of my glasses, like my regular pair and then my backup pair. So I had to get another pair, and it hadn't been too long since we got the glasses graphic as the channel sort of logo. So I went to Lens Crafters just to see if they had any red glasses, and this was the only pair that they had, but they turned out to be just what I needed. So thank you, B-Mac. Appreciate it, man. It does. Google seems to be figuring it out. I mean, maybe they accidentally did something good last year with the 3A, but the 4A looks really solid. And I mean, I don't have one because they're mad at me, but I will buy one and check it out when they come out. And so I think that they're figuring it out. I do wish that they would be able to execute like a true flagship phone that didn't have some kind of serious issue that kept it from being a great phone. And they've never done that. So, well, yeah, I mean, my daughter has her own YouTube channel, and she gets like emails about different opportunities and stuff, and I mean, I get those emails all the time. I think anybody who does this for a while starts to get those emails, but some of them are truly malicious, and it's like, I just got a text message on my Velvet, which is weird because this has a SIM card in it, but it's not like my number. But it was like your Wells Fargo card has been suspended. I don't have a Wells Fargo card, so I'm not worried about it. But those are the kinds of weird, malicious things that can happen. I suppose there's risk in any business. However, like, anytime that you make your living and you live in the public eye, and people, you don't have any control over the way people see you or react to what you're doing, or any of that kind of stuff. It is inherently more risky on a lot of different levels. I mean, there have been stories, like, I remember Ed from TechSource had his studio broken into a couple of years ago and lost thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of gear. There's all kinds of ways that things can go wrong. So it's really unfortunate, but it's a risk that you take ultimately. Yeah, don't click the link. I'm I didn't mention this, Symbian Black, but you're not lying. It's very true. It's very true. Um, I can't understand. Again, I can't understand. So uh, that's part of John's shtick, though. I mean, that's one of the reasons why front page tech is popular. Um, it's not like John is a nice guy. John is definitely, you know, the sort of persona that he puts across on YouTube is an exaggeration of a certain aspect of his personality. I think everybody's like that to a certain extent, and so that doesn't give anybody the right to steal his livelihood. Um, so it's just, but whenever you are somewhat controversial, you will tend to get more negative feedback. I can say, and and it takes a while to get used to it. It takes a while to know how to like protect yourself, both like mentally as well as like in other ways against that kind of stuff. I mean, I've definitely struggled with it, even though I've been doing this entertainment thing as a musician or a writer or whatever for a very long time, and have kind of been around the block, I guess. But there's something that's really impactful about just the immediacy of, you know, that connection that you can have with people online, and the immediacy that they can connect with you. I mean, it's the great thing about YouTube is that it feels like a lot of the time one regular person is talking to another regular person about whatever it is, whether it's, you know, cooking recipes or tech or any of those kinds of things. That's the charm of YouTube and why people like it so much. It doesn't feel as fake, but it also breeds a familiarity that's really difficult to manage at high levels, um, because you just can't really you can't really know who's out there thinking what, doing what. You just can't know. I mean, there have been so many terrible stories about, you know, there was a story about a YouTube singer, a girl who was a singer on YouTube, and she became pretty popular, and I guess she was doing a concert and got freaking murdered. Um, so that's not the first time something like that has happened to a famous person, obviously, but it does sort of highlight how dangerous something that seems so not dangerous could be. YouTube seems like, you know, it's just a guy in a bedroom or a girl in a bedroom talking about whatever it is that they're into, but it can get pretty weird. Um, it can get pretty weird pretty quick, and pretty dangerous pretty quick as well. I mean, I know there are plenty of YouTubers out there that I know who I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but people have found where they live. They show up at their house. Um, yeah, and it makes you really think about it whenever you hear that kind of stuff happening. Um, I'm definitely after seeing this thing that's happened to Front Page Tech. I'm you know, it's just sort of re-energized my defensiveness in terms of like not not clicking on things, and being a lot more cautious about, I mean, a lot more cautious about what I engage with, which, you know, it's on one hand, you don't want to lose out on opportunities. On the other hand, you don't want to lose your channel. Well, yeah, Jimmy Fallon is most likely a very different person than he is on real life. I mean, one thing about being in front of the camera, no matter what the medium is that like you have to be somewhat exaggerated in order to bring people's to hold people's attention. So Jimmy Fallon has his way of being animated and grabbing people's attention. John has his way. I have my way. You know, Justina has her way. There's, you know, Linus has his way. There's a lot of different ways that people amplify themselves in order to draw people's attention and keep that attention so that they can bring their messages across. It's performance. It's performance. I mean, YouTube is weird though, because YouTube has that thing where it doesn't seem like it is. It doesn't seem like it is because, you know, these are just regular people. You know, I'm in a converted garage here. So it feels more quote unquote real. And I think that breeds a certain sense of familiarity among people, and sometimes that can be dangerous. You're getting there, man. You're getting there. You're not boring as fuck. What are you talking about? It's all just it's a process. It's a process. Good morning, Brett. Good to see you. Yeah. So are you talking about the one where the girl wants to be on the show, and they like have to ride the bike to make that was really creepy. That was a really creepy episode. Yeah. You know, on some levels, I have to thank Samsung for giving me the opportunity to be truthfully and fully, like, really frustrated by something. Sometimes it's like, you know, it's like, oh, those are good phones. What do you want me to say? but not this time. My little sister knows you as the angry caveman. Okay. I am in sort of a cave. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Yeah, this is all true. I mean, Tech Odyssey, you've done great. You've done great stuff in general. The BlackBerry stuff, I think, has really been a thing that's worked well for you. So don't be too hard on yourself. Yeah, as long as Samsung is keeps giving me the gift of total and utter frustration, then I'll be fine. I need more companies to suck in a high profile way so I can keep my content rolling. And that's part of the thing that's been weird about YouTube this year is that if you think about it, like the 3A came out last year in March, and the 4A is just now coming out. So everything that, like, the tech industry and tech coverage, whether on YouTube or other places, follows a cycle. And if that cycle gets interrupted, then things get weird. So I think that now that Samsung's, you know, got their fall lineup out and iPhones are coming not too far down the line, I think it'll pick up again. But yeah, it's definitely a weird thing. YouTube does yeah, YouTube does have its own dark side. I mean, it's a mind game for you yourself. It's a mind game, you know, just once you start having the kind of success where people stop thinking about you as an individual and instead as like an avatar, as like a representation of all of that channel, and you become unhuman or inhuman to them, then it becomes weird. But that's also that's also the road to success, unfortunately. Yeah. What do I think about the Pixel 5 that was not shown? I don't know. I don't know. I really haven't paid a ton of attention to the Pixel 5 stuff. From what I've heard, it's going to be a less expensive Pixel. I think if they come out with a phone that's like $600 or $700 that still has a lot of the good features that the Pixel has had, then they'll be in good shape. But it's hard to say. It's really hard to say because their marketing strategy and their strategy for their products has not been really easy to guess. Yes, this is true. We've discussed the FPT hack, and they're getting it all figured out, I'm pretty sure. Will I be getting a PS5? Yes, I will. And I'll be doing a lot of PS5 coverage when it comes out, as well as like more gaming peripheral headsets and that kind of thing coverage, because you only get console generations once every 5 years, 6 years, whatever. And there'll be a whole new batch of everything. So, and I can't wait. I've been a PlayStation guy for a long time, so I'm really excited about it. I'll get an Xbox Series X as well, but I've never been much of an Xbox player. These days, the only game that I'm playing really these days is Call of Duty Warzone, which I can play with my PlayStation friends while I play on my PC. So I haven't even been using the PlayStation 4, but when PlayStation 5 comes out, I'll spend a lot of time on that. I'll be doing some streaming and a bunch of videos about it. What am I most looking forward to this year? It's probably those consoles. It's probably the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, just because it's been so long. It's hard to imagine. But yeah, I think it was 2013 or 2014 when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out. So it's been a long time. So yeah, that's the only thing I can think of right now. I mean, of course, I'm always looking forward to, even though I'm frustrated with Samsung, I was looking forward to, and I was hopeful about what they were going to do with the Note series. Unfortunately, I was really disappointed. I'm looking forward to checking out the Pixel 4a, because I just think that the real conversation in smartphones right now is in that sort of $300 to $500 range. That's where the most interesting stuff is going to be happening in smartphones, and not because there'll be new features or anything, but more like, value, what value you're getting for your money kind of features. So yeah, that's Viper perks up at the mention of a PS5. Okay. ThinkFantastic says, I hate that YouTubers are stupidly promoting the Tab S7. I'm an international viewer, and I know that it's not allowed to make videos without mentioning it's sponsored. Well, for a lot of these people, and I know a lot of these people, they're not, the videos themselves aren't sponsored, other than the fact that they're getting the device for free. So they're not necessarily getting paid. They're not receiving a check for talking about the Tab S7, but they're being sent the Tab S7 to check it out. And when you're in the position of you have the opportunity to be one of the, to have the device before it's available, and you have a chance to make your videos and all that kind of stuff, it's a good situation to be in. You have to be really careful, and some people do a better job of this than others, of just getting excited about something because you have it. I don't. I'm sure the Tab S7 is a perfectly functional Android tablet with Samsung goodness on top. I'm sure that it's totally fine. But as a product, I could not give two craps in the wind about that product. It's going to be too expensive. Just buy an iPad. Buy an iPad, because that's not because, as people say, not because like I'm an Apple sheep or whatever. iPads are just better. They're just better. And so there, man, I I would like to get the Fold 2. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I've thrown enough scat about the Fold devices that I'd like to get one. But if it's $2,500, it's just no. No. I can't see myself doing it. You know? I'm reading. Jiffer, this is a good point. We we are very, very spoiled when it comes to the privilege that we have of all of this tech being as good as it is and now becoming as reasonably priced as it is. It's just we've gone through 10 years of just incredible growth in the technology field, and it's changed our lives day to day very significantly. And I think that, especially for tech enthusiasts, it's really easy to get lost in the weeds and have arguments about like little things and miss the bigger context. So I always try and remind myself about that. What's the difference between 2K and 2.5K? Uh, and are you talking dollars? I don't know. Like 2K at $2,000, they would be keeping it somewhat the same price as the previous one, which is still ridiculous, I know. But at 2.5, then it's just, that's an egregious amount of money for something that could probably very easily break. I don't know. I had, it doesn't feel arbitrary in my head, but maybe it is. Thomas, I think that the innovation factor with smartphones started to slow down after 2017. Since 2017, yes, we've seen the Fold, and that's pretty cool. But we, year to year, with the phones that have come out since that time, year to year, we have not seen a whole lot of innovative change. There haven't been brand new features that I can think of off the top of my head that have really like changed the phone market and given one manufacturer a big leg up over another. It's been more of like a solidifying of the base technologies that have been developed over the past 10 years. So whereas in the early days of Android, the early days of iOS, there was a marked difference between the two, and the philosophies between how both worked were way different. Then over the years, like it's converged a little bit. Android has come a little bit more toward the iPhone side. iPhone has obviously come a little bit more toward the Android side, and the experience on both platforms is really, really solid. So now the only thing to argue about is the little things that companies get wrong. And like last year with the Pixel 4, the battery was too small. And to me, when you're asking $800-900 for a phone, and then you mess something as simple as that up, that's worth talking about. Well, yeah, it's a good question. If I'm spending $2,000, why not spend $2,500? Um, I don't know. I guess it's weird because like so I got this laptop and I spent more than that for this laptop, but this laptop is much more like useful to me and will last longer than a Galaxy Fold 2. With the folding devices right now, you're paying a premium for the novelty of those devices, and I guess up to a certain point, I'd be willing to pay for that novelty. Um, but when I feel like it's gone beyond that point, and they're just sort of taking money, um, then I just don't want to. I just don't want to be involved with it. I mean, I'll pay extra if I feel like I'm getting more, whether it's better quality or more support or something like that. But with a something like a Samsung smartphone where it's really only going to be a current product for 2 years at the most, that's not a very good investment of $2,500. It's not a very good investment of $2,000 or $1,000 for that matter. Battery size isn't everything. Well, I guess it just depends on how you use your battery, I guess. A lot of you might be right, Nick. But I've spent the past 4 years, betting on Google to turn it around and really get and really like 2 years ago they had the opportunity to, iPhone was not happening and Samsung was in a little bit of a lull, and they had an opportunity to really get their hooks in the market. But they came out with the Pixel 3 and 3 XL, and those were decent phones, but not good enough to sort of knock the others off the pedestal. So, but and Tech Odyssey brings up a good point here. I mean, the fold phones are a luxury item, and I'll be curious to see if they ever give out this information. But I would imagine that luxury items in this day and age, in this current moment, might not be as attractive to people as they were. Like, here's the thing: I spent less than $2,500 on my 65-inch OLED television, and that television is going to last me for, well, it could potentially last me for many, many years. So the like I said, you're paying for the novelty of the new technology, and I'm sure it's really cool, and I would love to check one out. In fact, like, I was looking at Verizon, because I could drive out to my Verizon store and pick up a Moto Razr, but if I don't pay for it, well, if I pay for it outright, it's really expensive, and if I don't pay for it outright, it's an extra $60 a month on my bill. That's a lot of money. But I have like 8 lines on my bill, so thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. I did shower before coming on, so maybe that's it. Best $250 headset that you can buy. That's a good question. It's between. Do you want wired or wireless? Wired. It's between the SteelSeries Arctis Pro with Game Deck and the Astro A40. Those are the two that I would say on the wired side. Wireless, it gets a little bit more weird because that's a weird price range for wireless. Um, well, I don't think that the iPhones are. I can't remember exactly what John said about the pricing, but I don't expect the iPhones to increase in price at all. I think that the Max phone will still be $1099 to start. I think that the Pro will be $999, and then we'll go down from there. The 5.4-inch model is, I've heard from many different sources, the 5.4-inch model is going to be $650 for a phone with an OLED screen and everything else. So I've heard it from enough places, and looking at how Apple has worked their pricing structures over the past couple of year or so, I think it's quite possible that we'll see basically like $50 price increments or $100 price increments between each model of the iPhone this coming year, which is a good thing. As much as Apple frustrated me circa 2018, they have totally turned it around. And now, at least with the way that they price their products and the way that they're dealing with their customers, it's a much more like kinder, gentler relationship, whereas before they were very aggressively standoffish. This is a good question. They both work great. The Astros have been around for longer, and people have used the Astro Mix Amp with all kinds of different stuff for a long time. So you have more flexibility with the Astros and the Mix Amp if you want to use a different headset or something like that. SteelSeries, unfortunately, has a proprietary cable that goes between the headphones and the game DAC. So you pretty much have to use what they give you. So if that's something that you might think about, then you might want to consider that. Yeah, exactly, Gabriel. Apple used to be the brand that was like super snooty and unattainable, and they didn't care. They were like, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And now they've turned around and they're like, hey, we got prices for everybody. and Samsung can't sell a phone for less than $1,000. So I don't know. That's me. I am just a terrible flip-flopper. I should just be consistent at all times, because that's realistic and it will make people feel better. Yeah, people get very uncomfortable with people changing their minds. I don't know. Maybe it's something that we teach or don't teach in schools. The Note 20 is more than meh. The Note 20 is like the Note 20, like the cheaper one, quote unquote cheaper one, is the smartphone equivalent of like, a peanut butter sandwich with no jelly on white bread. It's just like, yeah, it tastes pretty good, but it's not really that awesome. Budget wireless earphones for under $20. So yeah, do you want wireless? Do you want wired? The best deal in like budget earphones, Panasonic has $10 earbuds that you can buy on Amazon, and you can get them with a microphone in line in the cable for, I think, $15. And those things sound really good. They're very high quality. It's an interesting take, our dog. I thought that both the TCL phones were priced pretty aggressively. But I just think that it's going to take some time for TCL to sort of gain some traction in the market, compared to, even though TCL has been making phones for a long time, they haven't been making phones under their name for a long time. So I think it's going to take some time for them to really get the name recognition. And so, yeah, I don't know. And there's still another TCL phone to come. The 5G phone is still to come. So I'll be curious to see what that's all about. No 20 needs more Vegemite. Yeah, maybe I've never had the Vegemite. And from what I hear about it, I'm sort of frightened by it. So yeah. Work in IT, and so the Galaxy Fold makes your job easier. It's nice to have a small tablet in your pocket. Yeah, I could definitely see that. The one thing that I'm going to point out in the video that I make either today or over the weekend is that the LG V60 with the dual screen case, in addition to having a headphone jack, as we've often discussed, also has pen support. It doesn't come with a pen, but you can get a Wacom stylus type pen to use with the phone. So basically it has that. I mean, it doesn't have S Pen functionality because, Samsung has done different things with that, but it does have pen support, and it does have the opportunity, that's a decent amount of screen real estate right there. But I hear what you're saying. The only thing I would worry about with the Fold is relying on it for something like work, when you would know better than me because I haven't had one, but I would just be worried about its durability, I guess. How would the tech world react if Apple announced $1,000 plastic phone? Well, they'd have some special name for it. It would be like, bionic polycarbonate or something. I don't know. But I know I would still be like really frustrated because and they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that because they have really good budget phones down the line that don't use plastic. So I think that Apple has positioned themselves with their lineup of phones really well for what the next phase of smartphone of the smartphone market is going to be. They have a phone for every price range, and it's. I just think that they've set themselves up to be ready for the time when nobody cares that it's a luxury item anymore, and not many people do at this point. Yeah, man, if Apple came out with a plastic phone, it would be the most amazing plastic that you've ever seen. It would be like retina plastic. Yeah, maybe biomorphic polycarbonate deluxe. I like that. They might steal that from you. I'm curious about the Duo. I'm really curious about the Duo. There's something about the Surface Duo that still feels like vaporware to me, though. It's still I'm still not convinced that it's actually ever going to come out, but maybe it will. The iPhone 5C was polycarbonate, and it was supposed to be like a lesser expensive iPhone, but the mistake they made with the 5C was they didn't have the current chipset in it. It had like a year-old chipset, and then they weren't that cheap. So yeah, but I don't see them going back to that unless the market moves away from like the quote unquote premium materials of glass and steel and that kind of thing. If the market moves toward more durability as a feature, then yes, I mean, all bets are off, because then, the market is moving in a different direction. But unless that's the case, I don't see them like making, if they can make a $400 glass and steel or glass and aluminum phone, then there's no reason for them to make a plastic phone. Man, I would love to have I would love to have something along the quality of like the HTC One phones. Those things were so good, so good. Um, yeah, and just felt really good and to hold and just really nice. So yes, Apple sells $1,000 monitor stand, and while that monitor stand is not something that is it's not something I need or would ever need. The reason that they sell that stand separately from the monitor is because a lot of places that are going to buy the Mac Pros are places that already have like editing bays laid in where the monitors have a place to go and they don't need the stand. Whether or not it's worth $1,000, I don't know. I mean, that stuff is super expensive. And if professional companies are, willing to pay that, okay, I guess. No, the wheels are only $400. The wheels are only $400. So you can get $400 wheels. What brand makes gaming peripherals that you believe most of the price goes into performance and not aesthetics? When it comes to headsets, probably Sennheiser. Although I mean, like I've been using the Sennheiser GSP6. This is the 600, I think. I think that they put a lot of they put a lot of money into the performance. Astro does as well. Like I have the Astro CR40 controller, and that controller works really well. Their headsets, I mean, I've reviewed their stuff enough that there are plenty of people who complain that their headset broke or whatever. But I think that by and large, Astro's products are pretty good. The one thing I would sort of knock SteelSeries for is that the build quality of their stuff is a little. It's a little bit of a step down from, say, an Astro. There are companies out there that that are smaller. Like I think it's Liquid Sound. I haven't had a chance to really check their stuff out, but I've heard really good things about it. Yes, Ace, thank you for remembering. Hit the like button, and I mean, it's super chats and super stickers and all those kinds of things are available. The wheels are $700. See, I thought they were $400. Yeah, no. I mean, that monitor, isn't the monitor by itself like $6,000? So yeah, it's a totally different thing. It's a totally different thing. And as much as I love my tech YouTube brethren, any tech YouTuber who buys a Mac Pro and one of those super HDR mega displays to make their YouTube videos is not doing it because they need to. Let's put it that way. Rocat. Yeah, Rocat makes good stuff too. I just don't see them as much anymore. Corsair with their keyboards and stuff. I'm a big fan of Corsair. I'm a big fan of Logitech in terms of the keyboards. So there are a couple, but I mean, now there's like this whole other, do it yourself, super fancy keyboard thing that I haven't quite gotten into yet, which is a whole different deal. So yeah. Do I think the Pixel 4a will become famous among average consumers and not the geeky YouTuber? Whew, that's a good question. That's a good question. Well, I think that it has more of a chance this year than it probably did last year or that Google had any year before, because Google's direct competition in the United States, at least, is Samsung. And when Google puts out a really good phone for $350 with an industry standard leading camera on it, and Samsung doesn't offer a phone for less than $1,000 from their like top end line of phones, a lot of people will look at like $350, $1,400 and maybe make that choice. I don't know. There are a lot. I mean, I wish that LG had more of a presence, so more people would see the LG phones and the value that they offer, because I think that LG is right now offering the best value that you can get in smartphones right now. Is the dual screen thing that they have the same as the folding screen of the Galaxy Fold or the Razr or whatever? No, but it is highly functional and offering a lot more, bringing a lot more to the table than a regular smartphone for a much more reasonable price than any of the Samsung phones. I mean, you can get an LG V60 plus the dual screen case for $800, which to me that's just an incredible value. They aren't perfect, but they offer a lot more than Samsung is offering these days for a reasonable price. Yeah, I think you're right, Skilty. The 4A is perfectly priced, and almost to the point where somebody might go into the store and say, why is that phone only $350? What's wrong with it? That's the only thing I would worry about. But yeah, they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to make that phone really, really successful. And I hope that it works for them, because I would love to see Samsung have to take it in the rear a little bit just to wake them up, because I don't know what they're doing. The past year and a half, I don't know what they're doing. So yeah. The Velvet is really good. I mean, it's thinner than the V60. It's a very it's a very slick little package. The dual screen case with this cutout is much nicer than what we had with the V60 or the G8X. I haven't put it through its paces yet with like the more like quality of life stuff, like the headphone jack and that kind of thing, because I know this doesn't have the same kind of DAC that that the V60 has. And in the packaging that I got, like the big box of stuff that I got from LG along with the Velvet, I guess the Velvet is the way that they're going that way with all of their phones, away from the G series and the V series and over toward stuff like the Velvet, which could be great. But I mean, what I loved about the Note and what I love about the V series phones is that you get like an incredible phone, just about everything that you could possibly hope for. And so the Velvet seems like a slight step down, like not a top end processor, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. Well, that would be nice. It's curious to me why LG doesn't market their stuff in the US any better than they do. But I I've said this before. I think that there's probably like this sweet spot between like if we don't spend money on marketing, we make X number of dollars. If we do spend money on marketing, then we lose money. I think they might be in that sweet spot. I'm not sure, but it's yeah, it's curious. Well, yeah, Samsung needs to worry about Samsung. I mean, in the same way that like as I was talking about before, yeah, it's really easy as a YouTuber to get caught up in watching what other people are doing and being like, oh, they're doing that, maybe I should do that or whatever. Samsung needs to worry about Samsung. Samsung does a lot of things really well, but right now it seems like they're trying harder to be like Apple than they ever have before, and it doesn't work for them. Yes, oh, man. I don't know. Samsung's laptops have been a mixed bag. They look really great. They have some great features. You know, they have the ones that come with the S Pen and all that kind of stuff. But I just have always felt like Samsung's heart wasn't necessarily totally in the PC market. So yeah. So Apple's almost at 2 trillion. Oh my God, I can't even imagine what's it going to be like. You know, at the close of Q4 this year. It's crazy. I I'm anxious to see the Z Fold 2. I I want to own one, but I'm only going to own one under certain circumstances. Yes, the XPS machines are really really good. When I was doing my research for buying this Razer laptop, the one thing that held me back from the XPS line is that they didn't have the higher end RTX cards as readily available, and there was some. I did hear a lot of talk about some quality control issues. Now I've heard the same thing about Razer, but Razer was just offering all the features that I was looking for, and I couldn't find an XPS model that did. But in terms of like thin and light, ultra book type things, the the XPS line is probably second to none. It on the PC side, they're as close to MacBook Air as you're possibly going to get, and more powerful. This is true. Samsung's support is nothing like Apple. Apple, I mean, people people give me a hard time for saying good things about Apple, but there are good things to say about Apple. They do some things really well. And they're doing them more consistently now than they have in years past. So yeah, I mean the customer service that you can get from Apple is such that like to be able to walk into an Apple store and get your battery replaced on the spot or get your phone screen repaired, you know, or just to have those places as hubs for getting support is such a leg up over any other single manufacturer, especially in a day and age when you know, there aren't too many places out there that can repair smartphones. And I know there's a big controversy about Apple and right to repair and all that kind of stuff. However, um, I think the Apple Store goes a long way toward you know making it easier to be an Apple customer and get service than any other place. I don't have a code. I don't know if anybody else does. So I take that to mean that something about something involved in your marriage was had to do with gaming. I don't know. I mean, it's a personal thing, but yeah, that kind of thing happens. Oh man. Yeah, I that's a good question. I've heard varying things about that nano texture glass. I remember Danny Winget said that he got a screen with it and then didn't really like it, and traded it in for like the glossy when he was the XDR display. Um, oh man, the new iMac. I have to admit, the new iMac is pretty badass. They fi- of course, it's like they finally give us SSDs and not hybrid drives or spinning hard drives. They finally, give us everything that we've asked for in an iMac in the last iMac that's going to look like this iMac. The last Intel iMac, which to me is like, okay, it's an Intel iMac. It's super powerful. I guess I saw somebody had benchmarked it, and it like outperforms I think it was Max Yuriev benchmarked it, and it outperforms the Mac Pro in some way or form, which is crazy. Which is crazy. Uh, the iMac has probably been the best like bang for the buck um, desktop computer available in its entire like for the entire time that it exists, and it keeps getting better. I mean, yes, you pay for it if you want to get an i7 and if you want to put more RAM in it and don't want to do it yourself, etc., etc. You pay for it, but a 5K screen and all that power for less than $2,000 is a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. Samsung sent you a 15% discount code as a birthday present. Yeah. Well, I haven't looked at the deals that Samsung is offering this year and like the trade-in stuff. I know in years past um in years past they have offered you like ridiculous amounts of money for trade-in for your older phones. So and I honestly I don't think I'm going to buy either of the Note phones. I don't think I'm going to buy them. There's just I can't see an upside. I can't recommend that anyone buy those phones. So I don't see any reason for me to buy them. Does that make sense? Uh, Gabriel, I think you're right. If what they were doing in the quote unquote lab that we saw in the WWDC presentations, um, if those machines can perform like they were performing in those like controlled situations, then yeah, they're gonna be pretty beastly. It's just a matter of yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of somebody asked me like, well, why did you spend all this money on a Razer laptop when you know that a MacBook Pro with Apple Silicone is gonna be out soon. The thing is like the MacBook Pro that I would want to buy, I don't know when that's coming out. I mean, the 13-inch MacBook Pro is coming sometime soon, by the end of this year sometime. But I don't know when they're going to have like a 16-inch MacBook Pro that would be useful to me. And I don't know how comfortable I feel buying a first generation product when like something as integral as the processor is part of what's changed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too risk averse there, but I mean, at least with something like the Razer, there's some flexibility. So So they're not letting you trade in the 11 or the 11 Pro? Huh. That is weird. That is weird. Okay, we've talked about this. Silicone is like the epoxy gooey stuff that you squeeze out and like use to seal things like your bathtub or whatever. And silicon is an entirely different thing that they use in chips. This is what we figured this out on the podcast one night. I'm not scientifically 100% sure what the difference is, but I think silicon is like a glass-like product, whereas I don't know. I don't want to say too much because I might be wrong. Nobody's ever going to know what Samsung was thinking, Lloyd. Nobody. Yeah, and that's the thing about a lot of Apple products, is that you can get one and you can use it for a long time. Like I get a lot of questions from people who are still using like 2012 like MacBooks and wondering what they should upgrade to. And that's saying something, because I don't think you could effectively use I don't think you could effectively use a 2012 like PC laptop these days, unless it was like a totally overpowered, very expensive model. So thank you, Origin. Things are going well. Everybody is healthy. Everybody is we're making it through as it were. But yeah, we're good. Thank you for asking, man. See? Skilty still uses the early 2012 with the latest Mac OS. Yeah. This, especially when it comes to the phones, this is the thing that iPhones have over top of any Android manufacturer. 2 years of Android updates, or I guess Samsung's now going to 3 years of Android updates versus 5 and sometimes more years worth of updates, is like, that's just a big difference in terms of the value that you get for the money that you spend. That's what I was talking about before with, $2,000 or $2,500 for the Fold 2, whatever it's going to cost. It's not going to be worth it 6 or 8 months down the road. It's going to have depreciated so much. You can buy a renewed Galaxy Fold 1 on Amazon right now for $1,100. So that's almost like 50% off what it initially cost. So you have to just, if you're going to spend that money on something like a Galaxy Fold, you have to just say, okay, I'm spending this money without the expectation that I'm going to get like value in terms of investment here. The investment is in something else, the experience of owning the phone, right? I mean, I think it's great that Samsung, David, I think that's great that Samsung is offering like the extra year of support. It enhances the value of the phones a little bit more. I'm interested to see how it plays out, how well that support stands up, because we just haven't, even Google hasn't been super successful at supporting their phones for 3 years. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that people are going to still be using virtual machines. I don't know why this phone is ringing. Nobody has this number. Why are you calling me? Uh, so it's going to be interesting. What I remember from the WWDC presentation is that they were running Mac OS on their prototypes through like a virtual window and still getting better performance than they can get off of an Intel based machine. So I don't know. Which product impressed me the most from the Unpacked event? I guess I'd have to say the Fold 2. I like the improvements that they made in that phone. I like that they don't have that big sort of cutout in there. I like the way that the Note 10 or the Note 20 Ultra looks. I think it's a really great looking phone, and I think I'm even when being critical, I'm not being critical of the phone in that it's not going to be a good phone. I think it's going to be a perfectly good phone. I just don't know if it's like a $1,300 good phone when you can buy a Note 9 renewed in pretty much brand new condition for $350. You're not getting a whole lot more with the Note 20 Ultra than you would be with the Note 9. So Samsung does have some impressive TVs, though. That was one thing that I was impressed with at CES this year when I went on a tour of the Samsung booth. They've got some pretty sick TV technology coming out. They have a new version of their operating system that allows you, and they showed this some in this presentation, allows you to share what's on your phone, split screen or otherwise, on your TV. So it's pretty interesting. Phones are getting boring. Phones have been boring for a little while. Yeah. Maybe it was this is their phone. They sent it to me. They would have the number. So maybe. Yeah. And I think, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the original Pixel was supposed to get 3 years worth of support and didn't. So I don't know why it's so difficult for Android phones to get that extended support, but it's 8K TVs, man. I don't know. See that the thing that people always complain about is like, well, there's no 8K content. It's like, yeah, okay. And I don't think it's the right time to buy an 8K TV unless you just have more money than you know what to do with. But people used to say the same things about 4K TVs. But the thing that you have to remember is if you have cable or satellite, you're getting a 720p signal that then your TV is upscaling to, something like 4K. So 8K will eventually get there and it'll be really cool. But, like last year, Samsung sold an 8K TV for $9,000. This year, I think they're going to sell an 8K TV for half that amount of money, but that's still way too much money for something that isn't really like an industry standard format at this point. Now there are a lot of people who film in 8K and downscale to 4K, and the idea there is that you have more information, so that you can punch in and zoom into stuff a little bit better and all that. But I shoot in 4K so that and then downsample to 1080p. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right, Skilty. Although H.265 is coming along pretty quickly, so we'll see. Uh, Franklin, good point. If Qualcomm's not going to support the chips, then I guess that would make it hard. FIBA, I agree. Now, when I was in the market for a new TV this past winter, I looked at Samsung's QLED series. I got a 65-inch Q80 that it was open box and stupidly cheap for what it was. And I really liked it. But the big difference between Samsung's QLED TVs and LG and OLED TVs is the brightness factor. The the QLED TV, I have a pretty small sort of home theater TV room, and it was like so bright, even turned down below 50%, that I felt like my eyeballs were burning out of my head. So so that's what Samsung's really, those TVs are really good if you want to be able to have a TV that's really visible in a bright room, then that TV is really great for that. But to me, I enjoy the look of an OLED TV a little bit better. Yes, I'm AR glass. I'm excited for the AR glasses. I hope that they are a real thing and that they actually work the way that they need to. Um, because they do sound pretty cool. They do sound pretty cool. Yes, QLED would be great for like someplace like a sports bar or outdoor venues or something. Or, if you have a TV, if you're in a room with a lot of light, lots of windows or something. Yeah, I here's the thing, and this is what we've been trained to do. Like the TV that I had before the TV that I just got was an LG B7. So it was a 2017 model, 65-inch, and I had it for 2 years. I decided to like trade up and get the C9 from last year. Now there are some features about the C9 that make it a more future-proof purchase. Like it has HDMI 2.1, so when the new consoles come out, it will be able to do the higher refresh rates and higher frame rates. Um, but but it was, I could have also used the other TV for like who knows how much longer. Back in the day, we didn't buy stuff like this all the time. We didn't trade our cars in every 36 months. We didn't like we didn't do any of that. We would buy something and we would use it, and then we would, until what didn't work right anymore. So that's just the way it is these days, though. Um, I I upload, so my lawn guy is here. Sorry. Uh, I do upload in 4K most of the time, so it does end up like looking somewhat better. I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy wives tales about YouTube and what looks better and what doesn't. Sometimes I wonder if any of it matters. Um, but at any rate, we've been here for 90 minutes, and I'm starting to get hungry. I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat breakfast, and so now it's 11 o'clock. So I got to go eat breakfast and get started on the day. Maybe I'm making a video today. Maybe I'll make that video tomorrow. I don't know. Um, I kind of want to work on music stuff today because I wanted to work on music stuff yesterday, but I ended up sleeping all day instead. But yeah, well, let's see, exemplar. That's what we've been sold. That's what we've been sold. Companies have just become better at selling us their stuff. So that's just the way. That's just the truth of the matter. We make fun of people who still use flip phones, but they still work. So yeah, that episode is the battle of what is it? The Battle of Winterfell? Was that the episode? Like I was watching that episode on my OLED TV, and then I went on Twitter, and everybody was complaining that it was impossible to see anything, and I was like, I could see stuff. and then I realized like the shortcomings of a lot of TVs compared to what an OLED panel can do. Which, yeah, I'm glad that we can that we can enjoy those kinds of things. Nokia banana phone. I would take a banana phone. Andrew's got a question. Good office chair, durable, comfortable, yet won't wreck the wallet. Well, as self-serving as it might sound, the Secret Lab chairs are really, really good. Like, because I've reviewed 3 or 4 other brands of these kind of like gaming centric chairs, and this one like supports my back the best. It is really sturdy. I've been using it for over a year. It is a little bit more expensive than like the typical gaming style chair, but I will say that if you just want a really good chair that's going to last you for a while and be comfortable, Staples has a chair called the Hyken, Hyken, and it's sort of a knockoff of the Herman Miller Aeron chairs. And I have one of those up in my other office, and it's really good. It's really good and I think they're $99 or something like that at Staples. So, but this has like lumbar support and all other kinds of crazy things. And if you do buy a SteelSeries chair, or not a Secret Lab chair, I do have a video that does have a link that you can use to help me pay my bills, because the SteelSeries or the Secret Lab affiliate stuff is really a pretty good deal for the creator. But Skilty's right; they are kind of an investment. The nice thing is, as opposed to a gaming / desk chair that you would pay $100 or $200 for, but would fall apart before the year was up. I mean, you're paying like maybe 50% more, maybe a little bit more than that, and you're getting a chair that's still going to be serviceable in more than a year's time. Thank you, David. I've gotten some really nice comments about that review, and I felt really strong. I felt really strongly about both how I enjoyed the game and how ridiculous the response from other people was about the game. So I wanted to put my thing out there, and I'm glad it went over well. Yeah, I've had one of those Serta chairs, which I bought a Serta chair thinking like, oh well, they make mattresses. Mattresses last for a long time, so this should be pretty good. And yeah, it fell apart in less than a year. It was a piece of trash. So yeah, I sit in this chair much longer than I probably should, and it does like, I mean, of course, if you sit for hours at a time, you get kind of creaky, but yeah, it does help. Here, let me see this one. Uh, let's see. So mic monitoring headset. Uh, the best side tone, the best side tone that I've heard in like an off the shelf gaming headset is probably the Steel series. It's not absolutely perfect, but a lot of times you'll get side tone, but you can barely hear it. With Steel series, especially the Steel series game DAC, which is a little bit more expensive than 180, but the game DAC side tone is really good. And I think Steel series probably has the best side tone of any. I don't know if their lower end models have that feature, but the game DAC and the wireless Pro both have pretty decent side tone. What Mystic color am I? I'm Mystic Black for sure. I keep looking at that Mystic Bronze, thinking it looks fake. It looks fake. It doesn't look like a real color. Maybe it's quite possible that I'll see the Mystic Bronze in real life and be like, oh, I like that. But I'm not counting on it. Yeah. So apparently load bearing. Yeah. Yeah. I would look into the Secret Lab chairs and see what you think about those. I've been really impressed. They're a little stiffer. They're a little bit more supportive, and I've found that my old body doesn't feel like I just got kicked around when I get out of it. So anyway, folks, I'm gonna bounce out of here, go get some breakfast, go do some work or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll just play Call of Duty for the rest of the day. Yes, Mystic Bronze is the rebranded Rose Gold. And I don't like it. I can't believe that was there. They talked about that so much. It's so ugly. Anyway, I don't want to get off on another thing. Anyway, folks, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for the coffee. And I'll be back with a video, if not today, then probably sometime later on this weekend. You guys have been awesome. Peanuts Clark, thank you for the super chat. And sleeping on the carpet made a man out of me. I don't know what that means, but I'm glad it worked out for you. Yeah, there's my chair video. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Beth. My chair video, Beth just put in the chat. If you want to go check out my video on the Secret Lab chair. I would not, I swear to God, I would not tell you to consider this chair if I wasn't still sitting in it and I didn't still believe it was a really good chair. So if you're in the market, do check it out. But other than that, thank you so very much for being here, folks. And I'll be back again sometime really soon. Until then, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This has been Painfully Honest Tech Friday Morning Coffee, where, you know, we just talk about stuff, which has been fun. I appreciate it. I'll check you guys later. Until the next time.